too, huh? That's fine. Check, check, check. Everybody hear me okay?
What about me? Yeah? No?
All right. Okay, while we're getting our technical stuff here set up, for those of you don't already know, my name's Hugh Cleal. This is my partner, Bryan Jones. We're Golf Clap out of Detroit, Michigan. I want to thank you guys for coming out. Thank you guys. Crazy weekend in Chicago and made it back for this. What we're going to do today is essentially go over some basic functions with the Pioneer setup. What we are looking at equipment-wise, for those of you that don't know already, is the, can everybody see this, right? Right here? This is a Pioneer 900 Nexus mixer and 3 Pioneer CDJ 2000 Nexus CD players. The Nexus, does everybody know what the Nexus model is? Why that's different and what's different about it? No, just, we're gonna do a lot of raising hands here. I guess what first thing we can do is raise your hands if you guys have been DJing for over a year, or if you are a DJ. Yes, okay, 2 years. 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Okay, so average person here has been DJing for about 1 to 3 years. Bless you. All right, good. All right, about 1 to 3 years. So most of you guys have seen this equipment, yes? Do you guys mostly DJ on this Pioneer setup? Yes, no? Yeah, you guys, what else are you guys using? Turntables, Serato, Tractor? You guys like interested in learning about this stuff? Because, okay. One of the first things, I guess, because, you know, I know everybody that here's a DJ has had somebody probably late at night after a party say, you know, hey, teach me how to DJ, right? And we made a joke about this outside. One of the first things that I always tell people is, you know, we'll have a setup in the room and I'll say, great, pack this up and set it up 3 times, make it work. Because that's really the first lesson, right? And I'm really stickler on this because there's so many people that get up here and learn how to play music, but, you know, if you're in the middle of a set and something stops working, I think you should be the one to know how to make it work instead of looking around for a sound guy, and that's just 101 stuff. So, you know, first of all, learn that. But one of the other things that kind of drives me crazy, and I'm really surprised every time by even a lot of the touring guys that we bring in, is they don't realize, well, just how easy it is to use this equipment, first of all, but like they're making it hard for themselves. So I guess we can't really zoom up here, but everybody's familiar with the tempos on these, just as one thing. You have option to set it at either +6, +10, +16, or wide. Does everybody know what this is for specifically? This is going to essentially change the speed of our song. Okay, I mean, we have any sound here? Okay, so, you know, you speed this up. Now, essentially the main difference of why that this is here, originally why it was made here, is because sometimes you got a song that just is way too fast or is written way too fast compared to the song that you're trying to mix in and out of. That really isn't the case anymore because most of you guys are going to DJ one genre. And essentially, the easiest way to explain this is going to be ± and -6, which means every motion on this is a lot more fine-tuned than if it was on ± and -16. Now, you can try this at home, try to mix all of your songs in ± and -16, and every time you touch this, it's going to send it way off beat. You'd think that everybody would know this automatically, but be surprised. A lot of people just say, oh, I like +10 just because I like it better. Well, you're making it harder for yourself in a lot of ways, and you don't need to. That's one thing. Right here, can everybody see this button I'm pointing at? It's the channel fader button. Not every mixer has this function, but I can't tell you how many times, mostly because we have Ghetto Tech DJs on the night before us at the club, Grasshopper, they've got it set all the way to the left. And you've got essentially 3 choices for these channel faders. And what that does is, the one to the left is like for battle DJs, where there's nothing all the way until right about 8, and then the whole song comes in. So what that means, you're trying to mix in a song smoothly, you're gonna have nothing, 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 and then all of a sudden the whole song crashes in. Makes it a lot harder to mix, right? Well, be surprised, you can put it over here all the way to the right. Now you've got a steady slope curve all the way up. So there's just like a couple of basic things. Whether or not you like to use the quantize, some people are more used to that or not. That's really a personal preference, but those are just really like 2 things I'm surprised on every time. Outside of that, we kind of have a little bit of a different style of DJing than some people. There's got a million different things we could talk about how to DJ, but I think we're here to talk about the Pioneer stuff specifically. You know, different kind of DJs, different styles of music. Because you can agree, there's, you know, the cut mixing. There's a lot of people that like to do long blend style mixing. Anybody like any of the old school New York DJs, you see they use the big rotary mixers. So that's kind of a different style of thing. We kind of, mainly because there's 2 of us, and I'm more so, I guess, the era that we grew up in, kind of do something in between that, where we're playing songs, mixed in with a lot of effects, but not really what I would call turntablism, because neither of us really scratch, or I guess it really depends on the night that we're having. But I really wanted to have Bryan come up here and kind of show you some of the stuff that we've done, because we have a lot of people ask us, like these tricks, how do you do these tricks? And, it's a really, do or die type of thing, because if you don't practice them at home and you mess up live, but I personally think at the end of the day, for us at least, it's worth that. It's a risk reward thing, because when you do pull it off, other DJs like yourself see it and it looks good. So, Bryan,
I got juice on here.
you got juice? All right, yeah, we got to get some music here.
Yeah. Another thing right before, like, every time we show up, the first things is he looks at all those things like that, and another thing is the jog adjust here. If you have this all the way to the right here on heavy, it's like when you're, like, let's say you have everything matched and you want to kind of push it forward like a record, and you go like this. If you have it set to the left, it's just gonna be jogging it a lot further, and it's just pretty much tightening it up. It's kind of like if you have it on +6 and this all the way to the right, when you touch things, it's not moving it as much, so you don't hear, like, here, let me play something.
It just makes it easier, and it's not that, with these you could play sync and do it yourself, but you really don't even have to.
We got
Get some beats going.
All right, so
This is a good song too, by the way.
if you have it set this way, but if you have it here, like it's a lot less touchy that way.
This is for when you're going to do a backspin.
And if you put it on the way, it keeps going, but when you have it on this way, it stops. So it's just a lot less touchy, and just another extra thing to look at.
Also, the vinyl speed adjust here. A lot of times people have this. Hold on 1 second. A lot of times people have this set up on the other side here, and when you have it all the way to the left, and it looks like this version versus the slope, what that's affecting is when you let off the record, it's going to start at full speed. Versus if you have it all the way over here, it starts like a record, like a normal record, where it goes, it starts up. So most of the time, if you're the type of DJ I am, and you're going from vinyl, you might be holding it at the kick, and you want to go in. If you want that to start right when you let go of it, just like this, you need to have both of these dials all the way to the left, or it's not going to start on time. Okay? And that's just if you're a vinyl guy, that's how you're going to start. A lot of times, people that grew up on CDJs, they're going to hit the Q button a bunch of times and then hit start, and start on beat that way. It's personal preference.
One little kind of simple thing is on the loop here. Once you hit the in and you hit the out one more time, and now that's the length of the sample. So, and if you have like the reverb on that channel, kind of makes it a little bit less drastic. Or the filter, reverb, and echo. If you use them just a little bit, it makes it not sound so aggressive and crazy when you do that. Like, you can kind of wash it out and.
If you ever wondered how they did that.
Yeah, and then
I think that's been done a lot.
Also, with the slip mode, that's another thing that is different on the Nexus as opposed to the other ones. If you have this going, anything that you do, like, okay, if you backspin, it goes right back to where if you didn't touch it in the first place, that's where it would have been. So, also has these things here, so you can be like, but as soon as you let go, it's going to be right back where it was. So, like, if you did it this way, that doesn't go back to, so it sounds unnatural, and you can add like extra couple measures, and then all your stuff's off time if you have two things going.
Is everybody following with that so far? As far as the difference between the slip and the loop function? Okay.
Yeah, because like right before the drop, if you do it the slip mode, you can do little tricks like. And you can add little effects there. One thing is if you go from 3/4 and then you go to either the 1/4 or the 1/8 right before a drop, you can go like. Let me try it one more time. You'll find certain ones that work, certain ones that don't. Like I said, filter and reverb is going to make everything sound less drastic, because otherwise it just sounds like you're playing with the effects for the first time. But like if you're going to do the triplet one, and so I don't know, if you do it dry, I don't know, it just sounds a lot more amateurish. So
Now, out of all you guys that currently play or use this, how many of you guys are comfortable with the looping features or use the loops at all? How many of you guys, now I know this is a touchy subject for everybody, but we're up here doing a clinic, so I'm going to break it out. How many of you guys are using the loop feature to mix in and out of your songs? Anybody? Okay. Now, totally understand why. It makes it a lot easier to do, and it keeps, I guess, things more predictable. But one thing I guess I would just venture out here and say is that, most of these songs, if they're done perfectly, and this is kind of like the real art and why, one of the things I most love about DJing personally is, you've got your song, and it's pretty much written in a progression to work with the other song. Now, it gets tricky because now you start, we brought up about key earlier. With these now, most of the time, you see up here on the upper right, you're going to get a key. Everybody's pretty familiar how the keys work. I mean, you can pretty much go up or down one key, major or minor, and it's going to sound okay. I'm going to show you some other ways to kind of like cheat around that, where if you're, iffy about the key or you're really mixing something in that's not in the right key, that you can get around that. But essentially, if you're working on basic time structure, 8-beat bars, 16 bars, you can send in a song in a way where as the other songs parts are dropping out, your new songs parts are coming in, and it's not going to happen perfect every time, and there's a lot of risk and reward, but when you do hit that mix, it sounds awesome. And I'll tell you, that's the main difference of what makes a good DJ versus a great DJ is being able to make two songs work so good together where you really don't know which one's which, okay? Both things work, and back to the why looping is, I've been in a couple of situations where, me and Bryan tag team, and I look over and there is 8 bars left, and I've got to mix out of the song. So another good thing is, just throw into a loop real quick, and boom, now you've bought yourself that time. Back to what we were talking about the key. If it's not in necessarily the right key, you can stall out a track in a flat part of the song where it's, not really playing any melody, and then transition into your song in a different fashion. So I'm not saying don't do it, but it's, it should be used as a tool, not as a crutch, really.
Here's a good one too. I just found this one out recently. Let's say you have 2 different USB sticks and a few different people are playing. Like a lot of people are always scared to pull one out because they think it's going to be the wrong one. That's going to be the song that's playing.
Who's done that, by the way? Yes.
Yeah, luckily
It's happened. I've done it too.
Luckily they have like a feature in here that if you pull out the wrong one, it's going to do like an emergency loop.
Only on the Nexus.
Yeah, only the Nexus, and that's saved us many times. So when that happens, you put the filter on and kind of like, all right.
First of all, act like nothing happened.
Yes, act like nothing happened.
Never show that anything happened.
And so like, let's say you're in the middle of the song and it comes on. It's going to be a short loop. It's going to be kind of awkward, like.
There we go. The emergency loop.
All right, so he just did it right now. He pulled out the wrong one. So now you realize, oh, oops, I shouldn't have done that. And then quickly come over here, find something, put it at the same tempo on the BPM, and then just be like. Yeah, I mean, just like basically just do something very quick, and the filter is just a good way to make it seem like it's a breakdown or something. Because otherwise, if you hear this over and over for 30 seconds to a minute and a half, however long it takes you to fix it, it's going to be very awkward. It was already awkward there, and that was like 12 seconds.
So everybody got that though? It makes sense? Be surprised how many times that happens. Now, the answer to like how to prevent that from happening, because I've watched every DJ fumble on this, is whichever channel's up on volume, look at that CD player, and if you're looking at this CD player, for example, right here, and it's playing, and it says USB, then that's this one. If it says link, then it's not that one. It's very simple,
But if you're not sure, hit the eject button.
Oh, yes.
And if you hit it on the wrong one, it's just going to dip the music, like, really briefly, like, for like a split second. So, I mean, you don't want to do that, but at least it's not just going to stop it then. And so if you hear that, go, oh, not that one, and go over there.
Cool. Now,
I would say one more thing is, what I was kind of talking over the music is, it's okay. I started with vinyl and everything, and if these BPM things weren't here, we could still DJ. It's a lot easier if you just look at it, set it there real quick, and it's just, I mean, pretty basic. It just takes a second, and it stays pretty locked. And if you have if you have it matched on there, usually you don't have to touch this, and you can keep it all using the wheel here as long as you have the jog adjust set pretty tight.
You figure you're no more than 1/10 of the BPM off, you know, and I guess, you know, anybody that's ever seen all the bad press that you get about syncing and stuff like that, you really don't have any excuse to need to use sync because you can physically see that. But, you know, in the argument for that, just the same, you know, we've watched a lot of great DJs that, you know, can utilize the sync function and use it to their benefit. You know, example of that's, you know, Eats Everything. You know, he's running 4 loops continuously and stuff like that and really pushing it forward. So there's not, I guess there's always going to be people that are going to say, you know, this is bad and this is better, but, you know, those people that usually focus on those things aren't the ones moving ahead, you know, just, you know, do your own thing, be creative. I would say that as far as being, you know, in this business, it's important to be unique, but not so unique that you're different than everybody else. And that's like a very fine line to be in, but, you know, try to give the people a product that nobody else can give them, and you'll have a job for a long time, you know.
Another thing, you can load samples, like you can load like a clap on here. I actually don't even have one loaded to show you, but I can pull one up like in a song or something. Like basically, these are essentially a sampler. These cue buttons are really versatile. Like if you can crab scratch, which I can't, you can do it on these cue buttons because I've seen people do basically like here. Let me pull up something. Give me a second.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah.
I hate that that's on. Always turn that off.
All right, so.
Got the,
Wrong one. All right, so here's a kick now. Like let's say this was a sample or whatever. You can have that playing and be like, and you can basically use that as a sample. You can put little vocals on it with the effects here. A lot of people just leave it on the master because it gets confusing otherwise. But if you produce, I think this comes a lot easier because like the people that are more producers seem to use the effects more naturally because they're more used to them. And if you have like one thing going, you can throw it onto the 3rd channel here. Yeah, maybe. Hold on.
it's like, you guys good with that sample, right?
Yeah.
Did anybody see what I was doing over here on the right while he was talking? Just a quick second, because there's a lot of people that are like reluctant to get involved with Rekordbox for a lot of different reasons, but everybody say that, oh, it's hard to find my songs. I can't find my songs on the drive, right? Well, you know, since they added this touch feature in here, you can see it's really easy to drag your fingers across and find your songs. I mean, you can do it relatively quickly, just about as fast as I was able to do it, you know, in Tractor. And just in case anybody's interested, I used Tractor for over 5 years. Bryan used Serato for just about as long. What's your question?
How do you get the needle lock off there?
You have to go into the menu items in here, and it's just a setting. There's a couple of times that I've run into things where you need to come in and update the firmware, but for the most part, the firmwares are updated. And the CDJs should be, you know, paired to the right player. Sometimes you might have a load issue if 2 of them are signed to the same number or whatnot. That's kind of there as a default so that you don't, you know, stop your song that's playing, but it also makes it tricky because like you're seeing on the other one there, you know, sometimes you have to reset the player, go back, because I kind of like double nailed it. I threw it into emergency loop, you know, and I'm trying to pick a song, so.
With the quantize on the mixer, that is very important to make sure this is on when you're doing like echo effects or anything, otherwise it's going to be off time. What I was saying earlier about having this is like a sampler. So you have this song playing over here, and over here you can put like I said, I keep saying reverb, echo, and filter is just going to make everything more natural. So if you have a little that's with like the 3/4 delay, and you can put on the reverb as well. And so you can use it as a sampler like that. A lot of times we'll do like combination things, so be like, well, rewind that a little bit. Rewind. All right, so rewind. If we have 2 sets of people, so a lot of times
2 sets of people.
2 sets of people, yeah.
That's 4 of us.
Yeah.
No, mostly we have 4 turntables, and we'll have our own side, and then just because of the inherent like technology that, you know, I can look over and see, okay, he's at 124.5. There's only 1 set of headphones. I know there's some people that do tag teams where they double up, but like, you know, he can be playing his song over here, and I don't really have to know. This one on 1, 2, or 3.
That one's not on.
That one's not even on. We're not even plugged in. But, you know, you don't necessarily have to see what's going on to get it right on the beat. That's just, you know, one of the advantages of having the equipment the way it is. I should have this plugged in on digital. I'm going to plug it in
Yeah.
somewhere. Oh, it's on channel 1.
Uh-huh.
That's why. And it's plugged into the wrong spot. 'cause
Yeah,
I did
this is
that.
the stuff that you don't want to happen when you're playing a show.
Exactly. No, it's all good though. Any other random questions? Anything you guys have ever seen us do that you guys wanted to know about specifically? I mean, there's just like a whole bunch of tricks. You know, I'd say that's also one of the big benefits of being, you know, opener DJ. You know, when these first came out, we had these at Grasshopper, and we were like, I'm gonna come here at 9 o'clock every night and spend 3 hours honing down these tricks and effects. So when you do it in front of 5,000 people, you nail it, and you know, they love you for it.
Do you have a favorite effect? Like mine is the gator.
Okay, I mean, you know, one thing kind of, I don't know, I always gotten involved with using is the, not the filter, but the dub echo. And on a breakdown, you can do that, you know, but it's, you know, it's, every kind of effect is often abused and overused. So it's one of those kinds of things where if you're not, you know, doing it to, you know, build, you know, you're familiar with tension, you know, in a song, you're building that tension in a song. If you're not using it for a purpose, you're just making a sound. If it's not in time, then it's, you know, really there's no point in doing it.
A couple of random ones you can do is you can put the trans on and then put the noise on. And then, so the noise by itself is just, so if you can do a few, I mean, you can do it with delay or reverb or something too, just to kind of add a little bit more to it, but with the trans thing.
Free whoosh, just for you.
Or if you have like the reverb. And I don't know, that's, you don't even need a track playing when you do that. That's, I mean, a lot of people, like I said, starting to use the effects on specific channels is good, and also doing, you can do different effects here with the sound color effects.
Bryan's really big on using an individual channel for the effect. But I mean, it's an overall better practice. I mean, it's, you know, it's a little bit tedious to go back to the other one, but it at least makes sure that your sound isn't muddy, because a lot of times people use effects and it's really overdone and it doesn't, you know, make sense.
Also the spiral effect. This is one I've never really seen anybody use this one that much. But if you have it set, you can either go up or down. But like, let's never really go over like the middle point here. It's, if you can see this light right here with the red there, but. So you can do that, or you can go the other way, like. And so like most of these, you just have to time them right before the effect, like the last 4 counts, and just start to remember, like practice with it when not many people are around or nobody's around, so you can do a bunch of annoying things and go off time and not have people leave.
I think the easiest thing for everybody to start with, if you don't do any effects at all whatsoever, is the delay, and that's the one that's furthest to the left. And you see here, it's on the red, that's 1-1. So everybody's like, it's gonna hit 1 to 1 to 1. When you get to 1/2, it's doubled and then quartered. The 3/4 obviously a little tricky. The third's a little tricky because you have to kind of count that on the fly, but easiest thing to do, and you don't want to do it with the bass in. A lot of people make this mistake is they're playing a song like this and then it overloads the subs. So you want to always do it either in a breakdown or filter it out, but see how that's doubling up and then you got the double. But it's one of the easiest things to practice doing, at least to start. But like I said, it's, you know, use it. And remember too, it's like these songs have the breakdowns already too. So if you're doing it, do it for a reason, you know? And you don't want to double up on a breakdown. Which question?
Do you guys utilize the tap feature at all, like on a regular basis?
Now, the free tapping feature is good, but most of the time that you're using a free tap feature, it's for a third or a 3/4 anyways. You know what I'm saying? There's once in a great while, a lot of battle DJs, they'll do a fade out scratch where they'll tap it out, and it really ends up being really close to a 3/4 anyways, where they do, it's kind of like a ghost. We hear people scratch out and go, shh, 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 shh. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna do it real quick if you want to do like a 3/4, but that's really, you know, like, I know Andres, he taps it out because he likes it to be all cute and like off the time, and it's like that Dilla thing, so I totally get it, but, you know, most of the time, don't get cute, use the 3/4. You gonna show them?
Yeah, you can do the 1/2, 3/4, and the 1/1 are the main 3. And sometimes you can also, at the end of a fill,
like that. Now, another thing too to keep note on is if you don't have the Nexus 2000s, you're probably going to have a Pioneer Nexus mixer, and even if you don't want to use that, you can also utilize this. But the tricky part about it is you're going to think 1-1 is in the middle, and 1-1 is actually 1/2. It only operates from full down to here, but you can do that same effect from that touch screen there, slider. You'll see us go crazy with that, depending on the night at a club. But it's really cool, and it's the type of feature that not a lot of people want to do, and it's a high-risk move, and practice with it, and it's not really that hard, but it's a big effect. Now, you have a question over here? I thought you were raising your hand earlier, so.
like the simplest one, that like the most effective, simplest one is the half, with like I said, either taking some of the bass out on the EQ or on the filter, but that's like
Nice and easy.
that's the least offensive one, the one you can do over and over if you just kind of do it subtly. And also, you don't have to churn everything to like, you don't have to go all crazy every time. Sometimes it can be like just real subtly. And like if you have 2 tracks going, you won't even really notice it that much, but you can, if you do that and you take the bass out of the other one at the same time, like it just kind of smooths it all together. Like we can play fine when we don't have this set up, but it also kind of feels like you're naked because everything, like you don't have all the stuff you're used to, and it's kind of like producing a track if they're like, oh, you don't have reverb or delay, like you just can copy and paste and use the volume. Like you can make a cool track, but like it's 2015, you don't really need to do that anymore. So
Ask for the equipment that you need. So anybody else have any other questions? Anything else you guys want to know about, or problems that you guys have had with the equipment out on the road? Anything? No?
there's a loop feature on here as well.
Oh yeah, the loop,
but
it's a sampler, yeah.
In general, it's going to sound too much, but you can kind of get away with it sometimes. For the 1000th time, use a filter with it, and I'll have the level already set to the middle here, so as soon as you push it, it just turns on. It's just better for this specific effect. Usually I would turn it up like as I'm doing it, but this one, okay, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do before I do it here. Once you hit it, it's going to start doing the loop here on the middle one, and every time you tap this over, it's going to get like to a smaller loop. So and you can also do it with this.
Don't ever do that, please.
You can find it in your you can find it in your headphone though, and you can have a track playing like.
No, that's not it.
Yeah, play any song. All right, so you can have a song playing. You just basically, you can hear it in your headphone, find like a part that does sound right on the loop, and then mix it in with the filters or whatever you want.
The bottom line is that with this gear now, even with just this setup right here, there's pretty much live remixing capabilities. Not to say that you always should, because there's just some songs that just should never go together, but it's the type of thing where, since this technology's come out, not only has it gotten so much easier, but key hasn't mattered as much, and you can save yourself out of mixes, when before it was just a record, once that thing runs out, that's it. There's nothing you can do.
And before, when you had to do like cut mixing, there's some tracks where it just is like 30 seconds of a beat, then there's 30-second breakdown, and then it drops. So you have to be out by then. It makes it a lot more clean when you have you can sit there and be filtering and delaying it out at the same time. It just washes it out, and as you're delaying it out, you just hear the echo coming, and it sounds like something they did in the song in the first place.
Yeah. Well, sweet. Thank you guys for letting us do this. Hope you guys come out to the show later. And,
Hope you like our Britney Spears headsets. We're going to sing a New Edition song next.
I'm taking requests tonight.
We're going to have a duet.
A duet. Sweet.
Yeah, that's all we got.
That's all we got.